people are aware of identity crisis. But then, when it comes to the details, I can treat this topic for the next Jesus knows when. And each topic treated, you will see that something very vital has been missing in your life. And if you don't get to know about it, to know how to deal with it, your life will be in a mess. I'm treating how parenting contributes to identity crisis. How parenting contributes to identity crisis. As I've said earlier, we are talking about parental contribution to identity crisis. Parental contribution to identity crisis. And I will be exploring how the African style of parenting, we are in a different continent. And the kind of continent we find ourselves in, and I wouldn't say it's unfortunate, unfortunately, has so many positives in our lives, but has so many damaging effects also on our lives. And if this is not treated well, trust me, a lot of people are going to go down the drain. I normally want to solve problems from the root. So when I see things going on in the world, I don't just look at the fruit to start talking about anything from the corridors of ignorance. But I want to always dig deep to know the cause. When you know the cause, it will be very difficult for you to understand the consequential effects, and therefore you will be able to identify ways of solving the problem. Let's talk about identity. What is identity? What is identity? When we talk of identity, the dictionaries or some common definitions will tell you that it is the fact of being who or what a person or thing is. The fact about who you are or what something is. Identity. Another school of thought defines identity as a complex and multifaceted concept that encompasses various aspects of their being. It's a multifaceted concept that encompasses various aspects of their being. It involves the combination of one's unique personal or personality traits, values, beliefs, experiences, emotions, and relationships. So when we are talking about your identity, we are talking about a very complex issue, and that complex issue encompasses things such as who you are uniquely. It comprises of your unique identities or your traits, your identity. You have certain qualities. Nobody has them. Are you aware? You have certain qualities. You have certain values. When we talk of values, what you stand for. So, something that one person will take it cool, another person will be offended at it, right? Something that you will just overlook. Somebody will be so inquisitive, paying attention. Those are some kind of set of values that you have. Beliefs. We all don't believe in the same thing. Even though we are in the same churches, we are in the same environment, we come from the same mothers and fathers, we don't believe in the same things. That is why many a times people argue over issues, right? Yes. We talk of experiences. The things you have gone through, the things I have gone through, the things we all go through are different, depending on environment, depending on systems in place, depending on even parenting, depending on so many factors. We experience so many things differently. We are talking about your emotions, your feelings about things. Some people, they will hear certain things, maybe you will rebuke them, they will weep, others will smile. Correct? Yes. And then relationships. We all have different also sets of relationships. So we're saying that another school of thought defines it as the distinguishing character or personality of an individual. The distinguishing what? Character. The word character comes from the word character. Character, as in, if you look at this banner, let me say there is an impression, or if you look at this hanging here, it has been cut to a particular shape. So when we are talking of your character, we are talking about the impression, either the impression that people have of you or the impression you give to people. So there are different connotations. When the word identity is mentioned, some things come to mind. What are some of these things? We have personal identity. You can put it under the heading identity connotations. Personal identity. And this identity or personal identity defines unique features. Some are tall, some are short, some are colored, some are black, isn't it? Personal identities, qualities. We all don't have the same strengths. We don't have the same weaknesses. We have talked about beliefs and expressions. The way we express ourselves. Some are very outspoken. Some are very quiet, isn't it? Some are very timid. Some are fearless. They fear nothing. We talk about personalities. There are some people, when they appear before you, you have this kind of impression. This person might be that. I remember I went to the passport office to renew my passport. And as soon as I got to the interview room, the lady there said, "You are a pastor." I said, "How do you know?" She said, "Everything about you points to that fact that you are a man of God." It has happened to me at many places, even in the market. I went to the market to buy something. The woman saw me, "You are a pastor." I said, "I am not." She said, "You are a pastor. Everything about you shows that you are a pastor." We carry different personalities. We carry different ideals, what you stand for. We carry different experiences. Now, the other aspect or connotation to identity, we have what you call social identity. Social identity. This refers to the group or categories an individual belongs to. Influences of belonging and societal interactions. There are a group of people, you call them anti-so. Have you heard that word before? Anti-so. That is their social standing. They don't want to relate, interact with anybody. There are some people, they make friends so easily, they just get along so easily. So in society, how do you carry yourself? How are you known? What are you known for in society? When we go to church, it's a sort of a social gathering. How are you known? How are you identified? There are people, when they get to a place, within 5 minutes, you know their name. You know where they are coming from. Even their mother's name, father's name. You've not asked them anything, they are talking. Is that correct? Is that correct? Good. So, the other one is digital identity. Digital what? Identity. Digital identity. When we talk of digital identity, it refers to the information and data associated with an individual's online presence. Do you know that a lot of people don't know? In subsequent conferences, I will talk about this in a whole. Your digital identity. Who are you on social media? What are you on social media? Who are you in private life? What are you in your private life? Are you able to differentiate between your digital self and your actual self? Do you get it? So you see a lot of people, the way they are on social media, some don't know how to separate themselves, their true self, from their digital self. They mix everything up. So when you meet them, you might say that they are slave queens, but they may be posturing or putting up that poster on social media for the optics or for the masses. But that is not who they are in reality. But some, you can't differentiate the two. Your digital self. Then, another aspect of your digital self includes your email addresses, your social media profiles. Some have different way even they spell their names on social media. Abina, you see, they will spell with A-H-B-E-N-A-H, Abina, isn't it? Yes, that is one of your, or the ways you are identified digitally. Then you have cultural identity. Cultural identity. That is a collection of shared values. Culture is the way a group of people live. So if you come to Ghana, they have a way they live. If you go to the Ashanti region, they have the way they live. If you go to other places, their way of life are different. Talk about the way they dress, the food they eat, and other things. Their religion, their customs, and some legacies. Then you have your psychological identity. Psychological identity. That is the internal sense of self. Inwardly, who are you? Okay? Inwardly, who are you? Do you know that some people are viewed with respect? Inwardly, they don't know that they even have that kind of value. They look timid. They can't go into people. Why? Because their psychological self intimidates them, telling them that they are nobodies. Some also, their psychological self tells them that, hey, you are somebody. So they go out so arrogant, so proud, and then they only end up getting embarrassed. Isn't it? Some want to show off psychologically. That is who they see themselves to be, the psychological self. Then we can also talk about the legal identity. Legal identity acknowledges an individual as a legal entity. For what? Essential for civic involvement. Your national ID card gives you a legal identity. Your voter ID card gives you a legal identity. Your, what do you call it? Your national health insurance card. There are so many things, forms that you fill that makes you a Ghanaian, what gives you certain rights. Those are your legal identities. And then others that I cannot go on because that is not the main topic. I want to give a foundation. So we say that identity is a multi-dimensional concept affecting self-perception and interaction. What is identity crisis then? What is identity crisis then? Because we are talking about dealing with identity crisis. An identity crisis is a period of intense self-examination and puzzlement, often involving a struggle to build a cohesive sense of self. It originates from adolescence, major life transitions, cultural or societal changes, personal obstacles, and existential issues. So identity crisis can lead to so many things. Identity crisis. You don't know who you are. Let me put it in that sense. When it comes to who am I interviewed a young lady. During the interview, she said, I don't even know who I am. I've lived a life of lies. Because when I meet people, I tell them one thing about myself, for them not to look down on me or for them not to think otherwise. But when I leave them, I am a different person. I don't know who I am. So we are saying that there is this intense self-examination. You look down deep in yourself. You check your life and you see that you are lost. You're only existing. Let me put it in that way. You're only existing. But who you are, you don't know. What you are, you don't know. Your purpose in life, you don't know. Where you came from, you don't know. Where you'll be going, where you are going, you don't know. So always you are thinking about so many things. When you are alone, you enter into that dilemma, isn't it? And so many things. You don't know. You don't know. That is why people go to school. I was trying to relate this identity crisis. Ask yourself, how many teachers are in our schools because they want to teach? That is why our education system is like that. It's not government policy. It's not government policy. I can debate anyone to any extent. How many nurses are in the hospitals because they want to be nurses? How many policemen are in the police service because they want to be police officers? Look at other sectors of the economy. So, more or less, identity crisis takes people from their original self into another space of life. Let me give you this news. I did a documentary on abortion. When I was doing my research for that documentary, I realized one deep truth about you that you don't know. What is this deep truth? The day mommy and daddy met to conceive you, the day of fertilization, do you know that uniquely God established your shoe size, your eye color, whatever you will be was or were established on the same day of conception. In your mother's womb, all that were added are oxygen and nutrition, nothing more. When you are born, what you receive is food from your parents. Is that true? Oxygen is supplied freely by God. God created you so uniquely. He told Jeremiah, before I formed you, I knew you. And before you came out of your mother's womb, I sanctified you. I ordained you a prophet unto the nations. David said, I will praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. You knew me when I was yet unformed. Every product designed has a purpose. Have you identified your purpose? Do you know your purpose in life? Let me break your minds. As you exist, all that parents are supposed to do, God has created or established your framework. In my study, I found out that every individual has a unique DNA. Is that correct? So, my DNA runs through my son. Nobody can change it. Throughout his bloodline, whoever will carry his blood will carry my DNA. Is that correct? But there is one thing beyond genetics called epigenetics. If you study epigenetics, you will see that each and every individual has what is called a genetic code. The unique genetic code determines a lot of things in your life. So it's more or less like you have been programmed by God, or God has written so many things in your DNA. Who you will become, what you will become, how you will be there, whatever it takes to make you that unique person who has that thumbprint that nobody has, who has that iris, your eye. When you go for any biometric capturing, they capture your eye, right? National ID card, they capture your iris. Nobody has it in within or among the over about 8 billion people on the surface of the earth. Ghana has a population of about 32 million. The 32 million, we all don't have the same fingerprint. We all don't have the same iris. That is your bio feature that identifies you uniquely. So God established everything. My question to you is, how come? Why did we get here? How did we get here? You get it? So, with your unique identity code, do you know that parenting, as we are discussing, environment, even the kind of friends you choose, the kind of husband you will marry, the kind of school you will go, the kind of environment you will be raised in, so many factors within or around your physical environment can alter your unique identity code. So you see that somebody who would have become so prominent is now a truck pusher. The person's genetic code somewhere, somehow, has been rewritten or altered. So that person is walking about in life. So through parenting, for instance, because I'm talking about parenting today, through parenting, you see that we give birth to children who are vociferous, isn't it? They explore. They want to touch everything. They dismantle everything. Hey, sit down. Keep quiet. Look. So somebody who was very bold becomes timid. This person has lost a unique program by God, and this person now becomes a product by default. So what God planned for you to become, along the way, somebody somewhere calling himself, herself, your parent, my parent, decided that what God has said you will be, they are reintroducing their own system. So you become an alteration of God's original product. That altered life is what we are seeing. So God created you, you are a product of design. But any introduction or reintroduction of anything different apart from God's original framework for your life puts you in a default situation. And that default situation damages your life if you are not at a place like this where you become conscious of that unique genetic code and how you can rewrite that code to meet God's original plan. You are lost for life. Are you getting something? Are you getting something? Yes. So, identity crisis is that period of intense self-examination and puzzlement. You come to a place where you are bewildered. You are thinking about so many things. You are trying to fix so many things where they should be fixed, but you cannot. You cannot figure things out. That is why we are struggling a lot in life. Why? We are not in our unique place where you will function fully, freely, and become that person whom God created to fill that vacuum. Nobody fills that vacuum. Until you find that place, trust me, you are a default product in a unique system. You will never function fully. Am I making sense? So, again, an identity crisis is characterized by a profound psychological state where an individual grapples with discerning their personal beliefs. You don't even know what you believe any longer. You were taught this, but you've ended up finding out that. How do you reconcile the two? That becomes a challenge. Is that correct? Yes. So, your beliefs, your values, and direction in life, if you lose it, you will just become a square peg in a round hole. You will just be going around and trying to do something. What have you been trying to do? You are only doing things to keep you surviving, but you are not doing things to keep you going, to keep you fulfilled. You are not where you want to be. I'm not talking about those who are in Wonderland, dreaming about so many things, and that is only a journey into identity crisis. You want to become like one celebrity. Who told you God wants you to be that? That is why people have become copycats. That is identity crisis. Whatever God did not plan for your life, if you embark on that, if you find yourself in that, that is a crisis. Okay? Yes. So, there is this existential confusion that can stem from a range of causes. One, making an individual question fundamental aspects about themselves as to who am I? What is my purpose? So an identity crisis is a period of uncertainty or confusion in a person's life. Most of us go to church, but because there is little knowledge or no knowledge about this kind of situation in your life, we resort to praying about everything and not finding solution to anything because we have no knowledge about the causes. If you don't know the roots, how do you deal with the fruits? You get it? If you know nothing about the roots, how do you deal with the fruit? So you keep seeing that fruit that you don't want to see. But because you don't know how the fruits come by, you are always confused in life. When you get into this, okay, what is the impact? Identity crisis can lead to a mental health issue. My friends who say many are mad, but few are roaming. Yes, identity crisis can lead you into a mental health issue, such as existential dread. You are always afraid of what will happen, what might happen, what is happening, how things are running, how things are moving in a certain direction in your life. You don't know how to fix it. Is that correct? Is that correct? You live in a dread. You don't know about tomorrow. You don't know about what is coming, who is coming, what will happen next. If I don't do this, what might happen? So you are always in that kind of fright and flight modes. That is the impact of identity crisis. You live in an impulse kind of life. You cannot plan, but you just jump into doing things without even knowing why you are doing them. Correct? Why do you do what you do? If you don't know why you do what you do, you are in identity crisis. A serious one. Okay? Other impacts. Many people experience feelings of aimlessness. Nigerians will say, you get up, you hit down, you the waka. In the waka they go. You don't know where you are going. So you just find yourself just doing what others are doing because you don't want anybody to say anything about your life. Is that correct? So why do you do what you do? Okay? You always feel this sense of negativity. This sense of what? Negativity. Everything seems to be negative. And even when somebody is showing you the positive things, you are still thinking negative. Why? You have gone through so many of them that you don't even aim to have anything positive. So everything, let me leave it as it is. Correct? Yes. And there is this kind of constant self-doubt. Have you been there before? You are always in doubt. Why? You keep seeing failures. You keep seeing disappointments. You keep seeing things that you don't like. You are not where you want to be, and you are always in crisis. Somebody will say, I've been praying. It is not prayer. The only prayer you can pray is for God to direct you to your original path, to knowing who you are and what He created you to be until you find that path. A lot of people come my way, they suggest a lot of things. I tell them that I'll think about it. Not that I don't know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, but nobody pushes me into what I don't want to do. Why? One day the Lord told me, when I give you express instructions, don't vary them with human discretion. You will be meeting your distraction. So the express instruction is what? Before I formed you, I knew you. Before you came out of your mother's womb, I sanctified you. I ordained you a prophet unto the nation. So God has ordained something. God has already predicted your destination. That is the essence of what you call destiny. It is for you to find the path to your destination.